Hey there folks, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. Now I'm going a bit of a new series. I want to redo a previous one. It wasn't really a series, but I want to create it into one. Basically the goal of the series is to take you from I'm not writing all the way to I'm writing consistently high quality every day. The first one, we'll be going over the starting of the writing habit. We're not going to go over how to write in this video. We'll do that in future videos. Now, for those of you who already have a habit, this video may also help you improve that habit a little bit. For those who don't, you may be wondering why do I need a habit? Why do I have to do this every single day? Shouldn't I wait for inspiration to strike me? One writer I finally had a quote that I finally remember. I only write when I'm inspired. It just happen to be inspired every time I start writing. Waiting for inspiration is like waiting for a bolt of lightning to strike. Now, the bolt of lightning might be very powerful, but it's not going to strike that often. And as a result, you're not going to get a whole lot done over time. Make a whole bunch of done that, single bolt striking, but the rest of the time not so much. What most, writers do, the ones who get published, they have a habit. They have a consistent pattern. Now let's talk about what kind of habit you want to build. There's a number of different ones. You could start with, say I'm going to write so many words per day. I'm going to write for so long per day. I'm going to write for so long per week. I'm going to write and edit so many words per day. My recommendation, from my personal experience, go for a certain amount of time writing rather than a certain number of words. Because the words you write, sometimes you'll have a scene where you're having a bit of trouble with. Other times, the words will flow like water. And 10 minutes later, you'll be done with, call it 200 words. But if you're writing a consistent amount of time every day, one that encourages you to optimize, because that means if you go from writing 200 words per, call it 2,000 words per hour to 3,000 words per hour, you're writing 50% more rather than just get it done faster. Now, one thing that often helps with a habit is to create one, like I said, I do it with time. Let's stick with that for the rest of this one. I start with 1 hour per day. You can go higher or you can go lower. My recommendation, rather than choosing as high as you can manage it, pick an amount you can consistently manage without too much trouble. So I'm going to rattle off some times. I want you to think okay, which one of these sounds like me? And like I said, don't don't go going, okay, I might be able to do this. Wait until it starts to sound easy. Wait until it sounds like saying, yeah, I can do this pretty easily. Because the trick's not going to be doing it in the days when you're excited, when you're inspired. The trick's going to be doing it in days when you're tired, when you're sick, when all you want to do is lay in bed all day. Now, 4 hours, 2 hours, an hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. If any of those times, once those times start sounding easy for you, that's probably about when you should start considering as your amount per day. Now, I've done this in several different ways in my time. One thing I recommend is setting what's called an anchor habit. Yes, I got this from James Clear. I really admire his work on habit forming and as well as habit breaking, and will be referring to it liberally. Well, in this case, I'm using a slightly different definition. What I mean is, what's something that you do consistently every day? And I'm not talking like big things. I'm talking like small things. You get up in the morning. You get dressed. You use the restroom. You have breakfast, lunch, dinner. You brush your teeth, floss your teeth, shower, bath, what have you. Rather than trying to figure out, okay, when am I going to get this done today? It really helps, from what I've found, to pick something that you're going to always do, and then you schedule your writing based on that. So, for example, you might say, every time I get up in the morning, before I do anything else, I'm going to write for 10 minutes. Or you might say, when breakfast comes around, I'm going to write for an hour. Or maybe for dinner. When it's dinner time, I'm going to spend 30 minutes getting some writing done. Now, you can use a combination, like you could do, say, 10 minutes for breakfast, 10 minutes for lunch, 10 minutes for dinner. Whatever habit you do, though, it's important to do it consistently. And one thing that helps with that, and I've both seen this in my own work, as well as in reading, pick a very limited number of habits you want to form. So, like, if you want to do like 2 writing habits each day, that's fine. But don't do more than like 2, 3 at the absolute most. Really, 1 may even be best. Because the more habits you try to form at once, the harder it's going to be for each one, the less likely to succeed for each one. Because it's difficult to focus on doing something consistently, regularly, and getting that as part of your daily routine. Not gonna lie, Crystal did a pretty good job on these. Now, so let's say you figure out, okay, here's how much I want to write. And I want to do it at breakfast. What you want to make sure you do is make sure you're very specific about that. Now, what I mean by that is, okay, you want to write for 30 minutes at breakfast. That's great. Excellent. Good job. But what does that mean? When will you start? Like, at what point during your breakfast will you start? Will you start at the beginning? Will you start when you take your first bite? Will you start when you put the food in the oven, in the microwave, in a pan, what have you? Will it start when you finish? Because it's all too easy when your habit isn't, clear, to fall off of it. And the thing to realize with habits is you can do some stuff with sheer willpower, but the idea with the habit is that after a certain point, it no longer takes much willpower. Like, when I first started writing for an hour a day, it took a lot of willpower to manage that every single day. Now, easily done. I'm finished by my first hour typically by like 10, maybe 11 o'clock each morning. So what you want to do, you want to make it so that when you're first setting up your habit, it's easy for you. Make it specific. Say, for example, as soon as I get out from under the covers, if you're getting up in the morning, as soon as I get out of the covers, I will start my writing. Or when I pick up my phone, I'm going to turn to my document and begin writing. Whether it's Scrivener, or whether it's Word, like that, whether it's Word, whether it's Google Docs, what have you. Now, I've tried doing it in other ways. Like, I've also tried to say, whenever I do something, I'm going to spend like 5 minutes writing. And it was doable. Or like I just say, I'm going to get my writing done during the day. And I did it. But I found that I was spending a lot of energy and attention on, okay, when I'm getting my next bit of writing done. So I recommend getting your writing done in 1, maybe 2 big blocks. Because, how to put this? The less you have to spend, the less focus and attention and energy you have to spend in figuring out how am I going to go about doing this, like how am I going to make sure this is done, the more you can focus that energy on how to do it right. So like rather than, okay, am I going to start writing at 10 or 11 or 2:30? You can instead, okay, what am I going to be writing about? So to summarize, pick an amount of time that's easy. Pick a starting point that is clear, that you can basically say, this is when I'm starting each day. If you want to, you can do it like every other day or something like that. But I found that it works better when you do it every day. It definitely makes it easier because you don't have to think, okay, it's today Thursday. I'm just writing today. No, it's Friday. That's right. Nope, you just do it every day. And you're used to the habit. Something that can also help are creating like a little ritual for how you start. For example, say like you're copying over another artist's work so you can learn from it. That's your start of your hour. That's a simple method. Or you could say, I'm going to pull up my outline, read through it while I'm drinking my tea in the morning. Never coffee. Okay, you can do coffee, it's fine. The funny thing about the way the human mind works is the more energy you're spending on some things, the less energy you have to spend on other things. If you're spending your energy on figuring out, when am I going to get my writing done, you're going to be spending less energy and less attention on getting it done right. So 1, start a habit. Doesn't have to be a big one. Even 5 minutes a day adds up to, let's say 12, it's like 30 hours of the course of the year. Like even a minute per day adds up to like 6 hours of the course of the year. Whatever your habit is, pick a consistent goal. Make sure it's clear when you start, when you stop. Make sure that the time is easy for you, because you don't want it to be a hard habit to start out with. Make sure that you create a ritual. That's a personal recommendation. And last but not least, it usually takes about up to 60 repetitions of that habit for it to really become ingrained. So you're looking at like a 2-month period. Don't worry. It may seem hard at first, but as you get further on, it's going to go from becoming something you have to work to achieve to something that you just do automatically. And when that day comes, you'll be getting plenty of writing done. It'll be a higher quality, because instead of putting your focus on when am I going to get myself done to writing, you'll be focused on what am I going to get myself done to writing. If you enjoyed this topic, please hit the red button down below. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to receive notifications, and feel free to comment your feedback. I'd love to see you folks in the next video. I hope that I'll be able to provide high quality, high value for you in the days to come. Until next time, this is Charles, signing out. Farewell.